I'm Rob Port from SayAnythingBlog.com, North Dakota's most popular political blog. When does journalism cross the line from being journalism, the objective presentation of facts, into advocacy? Well, it might happen when the journalism in question is being funded by a left-of-center group funded by people like George Soros. Let me get to what I'm talking about here in a moment, but let me preface my comments by saying that I am passionate about government transparency and accountability issues. I was named the policy fellow for the North Dakota Policy Council on government transparency and accountability because I am so passionate about it. I feel like it's a nonpartisan issue. I feel like whatever we may think about the policies that the government engages in, whether we like them or we don't like them, and we're going to disagree with them and debate about them on the basis of ideology and all these other things, one thing we should agree about is that certain facts about what the government's doing should be readily available to the public, and the government should be accountable to the public. I firmly believe in these things. But when this new report came out from the State Integrity Investigation, is what it's called, funded by a group called the Center for Public Integrity, when it came out giving North Dakota an F, ranking 43rd among the 50 states, I was a little taken aback. I mean, listen, I have my criticisms of the state of North Dakota. I don't like that the way we do economic development in the state is through these public-private, centers of excellence and these other organizations that are sort of occupying a shadowy part of our state government. Are they public? Are they private? Nobody really knows. There doesn't seem to be a lot of oversight. I have some issues with transparency where the state attorney general recently ruled that an open meeting held in Minneapolis was accessible by the North Dakota public. That doesn't make a lot of sense to me. So I'm not coming at this from the perspective of saying that North Dakota deserves an A+ on the issue of government accountability, but I am coming from this from the perspective of thinking that North Dakota doesn't deserve an F. And it just shocks me. And some of the issues that they brought up, for instance, they got an F in the area of legislative accountability. Well, how is it that North Dakota's legislature isn't accountable? I mean, there may be no more accountable legislative body in the world than the North Dakota legislature. I mean, you could go to, when the legislature's in session, you could go to the state capitol and stand on the floor right behind the legislators while they're legislating. If you go to the legislative website, their home phone numbers are published on the website. They don't have staffs of people to act as buffers between you and your legislators. They are accessible, and thus they are accountable. We may not always like what they do, and we can agree or disagree about the policies that they implement, but to say that they're not accountable is ludicrous. The other issue, too, is that they're criticizing, and this is what really set off sort of a flare in my mind, is that they were criticizing the state's lack of limits on campaign financing, right? In North Dakota, you could give unlimited amounts of money to state political campaigns. So if you wanted to donate $1 million to Jack Dalrymple or Ryan Taylor to get elected as governor, you could do that. There's no limits on that. And this group said that was a problem with accountability. Now, I know that those sorts of limits on financing of public campaigns is a big issue for people on the left. So I started looking in to the groups that were responsible for this report, which again, the report itself was written by Teri Finneman of Forum Communications, of the Fargo Forum. She's a reporter. She's the state capitol reporter for Forum Communications. She's supposedly an objective reporter, and she wrote this report for the group. She's not covering a report that the group wrote. She wrote the report for the group. So who is this group? Well, the Center for Public Integrity is considered a left-wing group. The issues that they cover are left-wing issues. They cover them from a left-wing perspective. In the past, in 2001, 2002, they received funding from George Soros. They've been affiliated with the campaign against, for instance, financing of public campaigns. So, I mean, this is a left-of-center group. As a matter of fact, both the Los Angeles Times and the New York Times have both described in stories and editorials this group as, quote-unquote, a liberal group. So, I mean, it's frankly, it's beyond dispute. I mean, the group itself says that they're nonpartisan and all that stuff, that rigmarole we usually get from groups like this. But it's generally acknowledged that they are a left-of-center group. So now this gets back to Teri Finneman, a supposedly objective reporter here in North Dakota who wrote the report for this left of center group that attacked the state on the issue of state accountability. And what makes this stink even more is that just this last weekend, the Democrats held their statewide convention, and at their statewide convention, Ryan Taylor most notably, but all of their candidates made an issue out of calling North Dakota a single-party state, of suggesting that North Dakota had become a good old boys club and that there's a lot of cronyism and things like that going on. Now, that's criticism that I don't necessarily agree with for reasons I mentioned previously, but to watch as this has happened, where they have the statewide campaign, Ryan Taylor comes out and he's going to campaign for governor, and he puts out his platform that the state's corrupt and it's got all these problems. And then the Monday after that convention, out comes this report written by a North Dakota reporter for a left-wing group that almost seems coordinated with the talking points that the state Democrat Party is using. Now tell me that doesn't stink. To me, it stinks. And I hate to be espousing conspiracy theories here, because I don't know what level of coordination there is between Taylor campaign and the Democrats and this other group. If there's any coordination at all, I don't know. But I can tell you that a supposedly objective reporter writing frankly, what amounts to a policy paper for a left of center group stinks.